So now I have entered quite a range of our settlements, and again we can have a look for our settlement list by right-clicking it and open the attribute table. And you can see now I entered nearly 100 of the settlements. Here you also can see I clicked some fortifications where there's no name indicated, so you don't need to provide a name, of course, if you don't have one, but the symbol fortification will show up on your map. Also for the villages, if you're not really interested in the names, you're just interested in the amount of villages, of course you can leave the name open. Now we toggle the editing mode again, so we can change it anymore and close it. So the next thing we are going to digitize are the départements. That's unfortunately much more complicated than the steps we have done before, especially because of the very irregular shape of the coastline and the borders between the different départements. We have to be very careful by digitizing them with a polygon. But fortunately we have a help, and the help is the countries we already used before for cutting out our DEM. So I will move it on top, switch it on, and now you can see that we have some issues. They might be driven by an error in the georeferencing process, but they also might be simply driven by the fact that the map we are using is not really precise. So you will see when we are digitizing this road, it will be outside of our new map. You also can see these islands are completely on the wrong position, and that it's clearly driven by a surveying error, because all the other parts here in this region fit quite nicely. But we have here's the outline of the coast, and that is the outline we are also going to use now for the digitization process of the départements. To do so, we will of course need to get rid of the filling of this coastline, because otherwise we will not see what we are doing in the moment. So go to your coastline, or to your countries layer, go to the layer styling, and simply click here on color. And now you can just dim down everything which is inside. Maybe you can do it like this, so you can see all information. And one thing we are also going to do, as the stroke line is not really strong enough, we go again to single symbol to the fill. And if you now go one down to simple fill, here you have the possibility to change also the stroke width and the stroke color. So maybe we do it, oops, it's too much, to 1, and that should be absolutely fine to finding the coastline when we start our digitization process of our départements. Okay, that's the first step we need to set up. The next thing, of course, we need to make a new layer containing our départements. It's not possible to store polygons and points in the same layer in the database, so we need to make a new one. So we go again to Layer, Create Layer, New GeoPackage Layer, open our database again, and we will call this one département, and we will make it not a polygon, we will make it a multi-polygon. That's driven by a very simple fact. You see here, this island belongs to this département, and if we would make it just a single polygon, there would be no possibility to combine it in a single file. So in this way, it should be a multi-polygon. that's a coordinate system. And the only thing we need to enter is the département. I will make it to 25, to 50 should be enough, and add it to the field list and press OK. Now it will ask again that the file already exists, and if we want to override it, of course we don't want to do it, we want to add a new layer. You really should be careful by doing it, because you easily can of course override a layer already containing a lot of data, and they might be lost in the end. In the end, the approach I'm showing you now is not really perfect. It would have been much better to set up all the tables directly and then to do it all at once. But of course, it would be much more difficult to understand what is going on. So if you do it by yourself, I always would recommend you to first set up the whole database before you start entering data in it, because you easily can override the table. So now we have to take a close look to our départements and to our coastline. And what I wouldn't do now is to digitize the coastline of the old map, because we already cut our DM to that size which is provided by these countries list. You can see it's not the perfect description of the coastline. The file is quite summaric, makes it easier to digitize it, and in the scale we are working now, it should be fine. If you really want to work on the island, you really should go for a better data set or digitize the coastline by yourself. But for the thing we are going to do now, that should be definitely fine. Now you can see here, now we have our département list, and now we need to start digitizing it. Of course, it's much more complicated than just clicking points, because we have to follow the line. And therefore we click again editing, and again we have to click the add feature, and this way it's a polygon to click it. And now you have different possibilities to do it. You can digitize with a segment. You can see it here. Then you have to click for every single vertex you want to produce. Or you can go for this one, the stream digitizing. So you click once, and then you can simply follow the line of your polygon you want to digitize. What are you going to use is really up to you, but for the départements, I would recommend you to use the, I can click that again, digitize with segment, because we want to snap onto the line we have here. And of course, it's much easier to snap it with this one than with the stream digitizing tool. And I'm going to show you the stream digitizing tool when we are going to digitize the road systems. Now, next important point is this one. It's a enable snapping tool. You can simply press S snip to switch it on and off. Sometimes it might be helpful to have some of the shortcuts in your head. It might not be visible now on your computer. So again, open this list with right-clicking here in the menu field. And here you have the snapping toolbar. And I also would recommend you to switch on the shape digitizing toolbar, which is also helpful, and we will use it in the next step. So these two. Now you will find your snapping tool symbolized by this magnet in your toolbar. Switch it on, and now take care that you go for this next symbol and go for all layers. And here you should go for vertex. So both should be switched on. And now if you go on this line, you see what happens. On every vertex, so on every of these points which are connected by the lines, you will snap on the line. Of course, you can also change here the pixel, so you will snap much faster. It's a little bit a personal preference. So now with our setup snapping tool, we will start here. So I will snap here on this vertex. What you also can do now, actually I want to snap here, not here. I can change it to segment, and now it will also switch here on the line. And it will snap also to the points. That's really a question of personal taste. So first what we are going to do is to digitize the border of our département. And if you run out of the window, you have to keep pressed your middle mouse button, and then it will change to this hand. And then you can move around. Never touch the right mouse button while doing this, because then the polygon will be closed and you have to redo everything again. It's a quite frustrating process, and you might need to redo these steps over and over again before you really get into it. So don't get frustrated, you will succeed in the end. So again, push the middle mouse button and then you can move around the window without changing the polygon. So you can move in quite closely and then you can move on like this. Keep that in mind, very important. And then you can click everywhere where you might think it might be necessary. Don't make too many, because on the way back we have also to digitize the other département in the south of it, and you can imagine the more segments or vertices you have to click, the longer it will take. So limit yourself. And I will do it like this. I will shorten it here a little bit, so you don't need to follow me digitizing this whole line. So I will go here in the north. And now I will snap onto this one, and I will simply follow the points which are already given by our coastline we downloaded from Natural Earth. I will simply, I can finalize it because there are just some clicks left. And now you can click here and click the right mouse button and then it will close. And now you can here, of course, enter the name of the département. I don't know it now, and I click OK. And now you have closed your polygon. What are we going to do now is to start directly the next one. I will just also summarize it a little bit so it won't take too long, and I will show you the finalized result in the next step. So of course you snip on to this one, and I will just do it like this, and click this one and again, and it will fit perfectly. If you might miss a point or you have a hole in it, you can go to this tool here, which is directly near the new polygon tool, vertex tool it's called. And when you click now this point, you can move it and it still will snap to the line. And if you need more points, you also can click in the middle between two vertices and a new one will be produced. Very helpful tool. So this one is for adding new features, and this one is for changing the vertices of the one you are already digitizing or the ones you already have digitized. Now I will leave you alone for a second and I will finalize the digitization process of the départements so you can see the finalized result.